Charles Oliveira is one of the most beloved fighters on planet Earth. He has a fan base that will stick with him no matter what, including in matchups like this, where he lost a striker versus striker style matchup, and now he's going to be full-blown fighting the wrestler, Mateusz Gamrot. The question becomes, can Charles Oliveira defend the takedowns? Can he add to his already dominant submission record? My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to give you my bets for UFC Rio. Before we jump into this week, let's look at last week. UFC 320 was a pretty successful card for the boys. Jacob's Lock of the Week hit. Bet Sam's Slam of the Week hit. Gave you 3.54 units of net profit, a 16% ROI, and we pretty much avoided the landmines. The only real chaos on this card was obviously the main event, and then Patchy Mix being one of the worst signees in the history of the UFC. If you want to check out every pick, every bet, every tool, just go to WeWantPicks.com. It's $10 to unlock all the picks and all the bets, and if the only thing you ever do is watch this free video and nothing else, you would have made some money last week. But not as much as you should have, because Jacob has been crushing it. His bets are on premium. Bet Slam crushed it. His bets are on premium. Check it all out. It's freaking $10. 10. That's less than a Big Mac value meal at McDonald's. $10 for an entire month's worth of access. And that'll get you more than just some copy-paste bets. You're going to get tools like the line movement tracker. This will give you opening odds, current odds, win probability, and line movement for every fighter on every card. You're going to get tools like the Prop Hunter, a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. You're going to get tools like the Fight Simulator. This successfully predicted a couple of lines for us when it comes to strikes and takedowns, and that's what I like to use it for, but you can also build fantasy lineups with it. Then you'll get access to all of that for these 4 cards, because access is for an entire month. $10 for a month. That's $2.50 per card. You're going to get UFC Rio. You're going to get UFC Vancouver next week. You're going to get UFC 321, where Tom Aspinall defends his heavyweight title for the very first time. And then you're going to get a very solid fight night. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Let's go ahead and talk about this card specifically. UFC Rio is a decent card. I mentioned earlier, we did lose the original main event. It was supposed to be Charles Oliveira versus Rafael Fiziev in what should have been a striker versus striker matchup. That's gone. Now we have Charles Oliveira. I can't categorize him as a striker or as a grappler because he does both of those things very well. Taking on Mateusz Gamrot, who is purely a wrestler. There's nothing else there. This card has some crazy odds. There are a lot of very expensive favorites. Couple of decent dogs. Let's talk about the dogs. Let's talk about the favorites, and then I'll show you the actual bets. Vitor Petrino. He has let us down in the past. Everybody called him a fraud and fraud check, and I didn't disagree with those statements. But now that he's at heavyweight, he just seems to be exploiting how weak that division is. He's athletic, he's fast, he's powerful. His last fight, he caught a kick, took it to the ground, mauled Austin Lane. And now he's fighting a punching bag. Thomas Petersen's not a good fighter. He's tough, but he's a punching bag. Vitor Petrino should be able to out-athlete the punching bag. Thomas Petersen's not dangerous, so I'm not worried about Vitor getting in any trouble. He should get it done. Then we have another heavyweight, Valter Walker. Valter Walker is still relatively untested. I'm a little nervous about this one, but he's on my most confident list because he should win. He's fighting Mohammed Usman. I don't think Mohammed Usman's good. Mohammed Usman's not good at all, frankly. He's already been talking about retirement. He just squeaked out a win against Hamdi Abdulwahab. And now he's here. He's fighting Valter Walker. The UFC definitely wants Valter to win. He's got personality. He has 3 heel hook submissions in a row. It's literally a record. I think it's a record for the most amount of heel hooks. And the fact that they were back-to-back is another record in and of itself. Valter Walker should be able to get this fight to the ground. He should be able to win this fight. And when I say relatively untested, it's because his first fight, he got beat up. His next 3 fights was just so fast. We didn't get to see a lot out of him, but he should win here because Mohammed Usman's not very good. Then we have Julia Polastri. Julia Polastri is not exactly a killer, but she can do all the things. She can strike. She can grapple. She's young. She's fast. She's strong. She's athletic. And she's fighting an older Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Karolina Kowalkiewicz had a little bit of a career resurgence last year. She moved to American Top Team, put a couple wins together, but that ship has sailed. She's older. She's slower. The sport has passed her by. She's not nearly as athletic as the rest of these fighters. She's not as well-rounded as the rest of these fighters. She's got some veteran savvy. The old dog's got a couple of tricks, but the reality is Julia Polastri should literally beat Karolina to the punch in every single exchange. Literally. Just be faster. Beat her to the punch. And then Joel Alvarez. He's fighting a former favorite fighter. Everybody loved Vicente Luque. There was a few years where he was the Charles Oliveira, basically. Just a beloved guy that everybody saw it would be a future world champion, and he's good at all the things. And while he is good at all the things, he's used up and beat down. And I don't know if he's lying about his age, because Vicente Luque's age that he's listed at is like 32 or 33. But if you see him in the cage, that dude looks like he's 37, 38. He has been in wars. He had a brain bleed at one point. And I think just the best parts of his career are behind him. And meanwhile, on the other side of the cage, he has Joel Alvarez. Joel Alvarez can submit anybody. He has shown incredible power in his hands. He's ridiculously tall. He's ridiculously long. Joel Alvarez should dominate this fight, potentially find a finish. My only concern is that Joel Alvarez can't defend a takedown to save his life. He actively chooses not to defend takedowns, just allows it to happen. And Vicente might come in with a wrestling-heavy game plan. That's what he did in his last fight against Kevin Holland, and obviously Kevin Holland put him out. Joel should be able to finish him too. My only concern is Vicente wrestling, but not that worried about it. Joel is my last confident pick on that card. And now let's look at some underdogs. Last week we talked about some dogs, and I said Yana Santos was a good dog. I don't think anybody agreed. I think everybody was like, no, Macy Chiasson dominates here. Yana Santos looked good in that fight. Looked good in that fight. And I was positive she would, because I knew Yana Santos was good, but I also knew Macy just isn't who she used to be. Irina Alekseeva is another big female dog who's in a position to do pretty well. Irina, like Yana, is better than people think. And Bea, or Mia, the Bee or Beatriz or Beetlejuice, whatever the hell, fuck it. She is not as good as people think. She is fighting an insane jiu-jitsu fighter. Basically, Mackenzie Dern, but better jiu-jitsu. The difference between Mackenzie Dern and Bea, Mesquita, is the fact that Mackenzie Dern is nuts tough. She will take a beating and she will never stop moving. Well, I don't know if Mesquita is that tough. We don't know yet. She's had no adversity whatsoever. They're sort of rushing her here. She's attractive. She's got giant fake, and she's here. And they're bringing her in, and they're giving her Alekseeva, who doesn't have a very good record. Alekseeva's not a great fighter, but what she is, though, is a sambo fighter. So she has takedowns. She's got throws. She's got her own submissions. So I don't think it's obscene to say that Irina could be a decent dog here. Is she a very good fighter? No. But she's not fighting a very good fighter. She's fighting a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. It's not like Mesquita's got great hands and blast doubles. She's a jiu-jitsu nerd. And they're just hoping the gap is wide enough that she'll get it done. We just had a similar situation at Noche UFC. The styles were different. It was a very good striker instead of a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. But we had Alice Pereira come in here, lose the UFC debut as highly touted, juiced line prospect. Mesquita is the same thing. I think Irina's a decent underdog. Am I going to bet on her? No, I'm a coward. And when they vasectomied me, I think they over-vasectomied. They took too much out. Then we have Janata Deniz at heavyweight. I don't know why he's the dog. And the line has yo-yoed a few times. He was a favorite for a minute. He was the dog. He goes to even. He's back to the dog. I understand people being pretty high on his opponent, but the reality is Janata Deniz is a former professional kickboxer. He's got a chin on him. He hits hard. He's got good technique. And a lot of people are basically counting him out because he couldn't knock out a refrigerator in his last fight. But let me remind you, that refrigerator, Alvin Hines, failed a steroid test immediately. Like, there was so much steroids in his veins. They're like, this can't be. How are you standing? This is only steroids. So yeah, he didn't knock out a steroid guy, like a crazy steroid guy. But he still showed us that he can hit hard, he can fight 15 minutes, and he's there. And he's fighting sort of a overhyped, undefeated prospect. I think Janata Deniz is a very solid underdog here. Now, these are heavyweights. Anything could happen with one punch, but I like Janata Deniz. Davis and Figueiredo in the co-main event. He's fighting Montel Jackson. Montel Jackson's on a nice little streak here. Montel Jackson has power. Montel Jackson was at the Olympic training facility for wrestling. He can do all the things. He's a very, very good fighter. I'm picking him to win. But with that being said, Davis and Figueiredo is not a just easy walkthrough type fight, because if you look at Montel Jackson's record, there's not a lot of quality wins. Oh, JP Bays, congrats. There's not like a bunch of wins in there where you're like, whoa, Montel is great. Couple flash knockouts, a couple of people that have been cut from the UFC. So I think the former world champion, Deiveson Figueiredo, could have some success here, and I'll show that in a bet that I have on him. I think he's a decent dog. And then obviously, Charles Oliveira is a good dog in any fight that he's in. Was he just knocked into oblivion in his last fight? Sure. But in the fight before that, we saw him big dogging. We saw him pressuring forward. We saw him wrestling. He has the most amount of submission wins in the history of the UFC. And Mateusz Gamrot's going to be shooting takedowns. Mateusz Gamrot's not the better striker. Mateusz Gamrot gets dropped in almost every fight he's ever been in. And he's fighting the greatest submission artist the sport has ever seen. There's a couple of good reasons there to pick and bet on Charles Oliveira if you're on that side. He obviously is a good underdog. Let's take a look at my actual bets. I did bet Mateusz Gamrot. Sorry. I do think that this will look like the Arman Sarukian fight. I think Mateusz will get the takedowns. And then once he avoids some early chaos, I do think he'll be in trouble and we'll be like, oh my God, and then he'll pull it out. I think he'll pull his head out of a guillotine. He'll work his way through a triangle. He's training at American Top Team. I mean, he's getting high-level looks constantly. He's a very good wrestler. I'm actually not worried Mateusz will be subbed. I'm worried he'll be knocked out. Now, he could also get dropped and then choked, but I would consider that more of a chin issue than a submission defense issue. So I think Mateusz Gamrot wins this fight. I threw a half a unit on him. I expect this line to widen, and I could be wrong there because maybe people love Charles Oliveira so much that they'll just keep betting on him or they won't bet at all because this line has basically stayed exactly where it is. But I think Gamrot wins this fight. I think he gets the takedowns. I think he stays safe. I think he's got 25 minutes of cardio, and the longer the fight goes, the more favors Gamrot. Then I've got a half a unit bet on Clayton Carpenter as a dog. He is squarely the favorite now. I beat the line movement here. It full-blown flipped. I don't think it'll flip back. I think it'll continue to move. He's fighting Jafel Filho. Jafel Filho is a good fighter. These guys are almost mirror images of each other. They'll both get after it on the feet. They both have very good jiu-jitsu. I'm just leaning Clayton Carpenter because I think he's better at all those things. I think he's faster. I think he's more athletic. I think he's stronger. He's got some dog in him. They both do, but I've seen some dog in Clayton. And all you have to do is Google, and I challenge you to do this with Google AI because I did it to prove a point to Jacob because Jacob is on the other side. I searched. I had already made the pick in the bet at this point. I already knew what his wrestling credentials were and his grappling credentials. But to prove a point to Jacob, I used Google AI and I said, what are Clayton Carpenter's jiu-jitsu, I might have said grappling, accolades? And it was like, world champ, world champ, world champ, 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 gi, no gi. He's been traveling the world forever, competing in high-level tournaments and winning them. Clayton Carpenter is good. He can get his own takedowns. He can strike. He's got a chin. We saw it in his last fight. He's coming off a close loss to Dagir Ulanbekov. Like, I think he wins this fight, half a unit at plus money. Then we got a couple of parlays to try to keep these odds somewhat decent because a lot of these favorites are very juiced. Valter Walker, Julia Polastri, two people who should win. Slap them together, minus 162. Are those the best odds in the world? No, they're not. You could say, if Valter Walker wins, it'll be by submission. Do Valter by sub to find better odds. You could say that. But it's not crazy that he wins a decision. He's basically a giant Dagestani. So he might get a couple of takedowns, not get a submission, win a decision over a pretty awful Mohammed Usman. Or what might happen, and clip it, come back to it, I don't give a shit. What might happen is Mohammed Usman comes out here, defends a few takedowns. Valter Walker is the fraud of the century like he was in his UFC debut. And everybody's just ripping up tickets, furious at the world, like they are with Patchy Mix. We just did this with Patchy Mix. Had a horrific UFC debut. Then they gave him an easy opponent, and everybody's like, he should win this fight. This is a regional guy. This guy sucks. And then he lost that fight too. You could argue he won, but that's not how the bets cash. That's not what went down on the official scorecards. This could be similar. Valter Walker has a god-awful UFC debut where he's a fat bag of melted marshmallows, wins a couple fights in a row against pretty low-level competition. Then he fights somebody who could defend a few takedowns, and then he's screwed. I think he wins. I have bet on him to win, but these are heavyweights, and there's a reason he's not in the safety parlay. Then we have Alekseeva Mesquita over 1.5 rounds. I think that this fight will be contested on the ground. I have Mesquita winning this fight. And if she doesn't get a flash submission in the first 30 seconds, I think it goes a little long. And if you look at Alekseeva and her greater body of work inside the octagon and outside of it, she's got submission defense. She has takedown defense. She has takedown offense. She has takedowns from throws and from double legs. Like, she can do a lot of different things, and she can do it well. I think she can stay safe for 7.5 minutes. So I like the round over there. And then I threw a plus 3.5 bet on Divas and Figueiredo. If you don't know what plus 3.5 is, you're betting on the spread. Think about traditional sports like football. You bet the spread. Your team can lose, but as long as they cover the spread, they score enough points, they don't lose by too much, you can win your bet. That's exactly what this is. You're buying points on the judge's scorecard. So if Divas and Figueiredo outright wins this fight, that bet hits. If Divas and Figueiredo loses a split decision, bet should hit. If Divas and Figueiredo wins one round on all three judges' scorecard, but uses a unanimous decision, like a 29-28 across the board, that bet hits. So we have a few options for that bet to hit, and the reality is he has all the experience in the world, pretty tough guy, pretty durable dude. I don't think he's just going to get flash knocked out. So I think we can end up in a decision where he does pretty well. You could check out the units and everything else there at WeWantPicks.com. You could check out the safety parlay for this card as well at WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 for an entire month. You'll get every pick, every bet, every tool, not just from me, but from the rest of the boys. Here's a teaser for theirs. Need I remind you how well Jacob has been doing? The last few cards he's been crushing. His live bets have been crushing. Bet Sam has been crushing. Last card and this card. So the boys behind the paywall are absolutely dominating. The paywall's $10. It's not even a wall. It's a pay fence. It's a pay fence. That's what we're calling it. It is no longer a paywall because it's freaking $10. It is a pay fence. The lock of the week, you're going to have to wait for that. I'm not going to give that away. I'm filming this earlier than usual. We do have a submission prop bet at plus 1,200 odds. That's Jacob's bet. Jacob also has Carpenter Filho does not go the distance. He's expecting a finish on either side. Plus 110 on that. We got a couple of underdog money lines, and then Bet Sam's Slam of the Week, which crushed last week and the week before. Check all of it out now. We have 19 total units of premium bets. 4 of those are future bets. Check it all out at WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 behind the pay fence. And here's the 4 cards you will unlock for $10. You get UFC Rio, UFC Vancouver. You get UFC 321, and then we get the fight night after that. It's $10 for an entire month. That's $2.50 a card. You cheap, cheap bastards. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. I am loving this run right now. UFC 320 was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable card. I left that card just happy as hell. Alex has the belt back. All is good in the world. What I want to happen is we want Tom Aspinall to have an exciting fight, win or lose. If Tom Aspinall loses, I bet my life they will do Cyril Gane and Alex Bejeda before giving Tom a rematch. If Tom Aspinall dominates this fight, that opens the door, potentially an Alex Bejeda-Tom Aspinall fight, or maybe John Jones comes crawling back to try to get on that UFC White House card. Guys, good luck this weekend. Enjoy the fights. This is the greatest sport in the world, and we're reminded of that every single Saturday.